Happy Wednesday morning, Mountaineer fans. It's Chris, it's Mike, it's earsports.com, taking up 3 minutes of your morning. Yeah, we're back in the new year. It's been a while, but we're going to get right back into the groove of things and start negotiating, Mike. No, not my contract, not your contract. Oh, we don't want to say contract. Contract's such a naughty word. We'll say NIL deals, opportunities. Mike, lots of questions about what's going on and seems pertinent given last night's news of Old Dominion safety Taj Rael, who verbally committed to West Virginia 24 hours later, decommitted with the hashtag business is business. Mike, explain to me how all of this worked with NIL and the timeline and the process.
Need more than 3 minutes for sure, right?
Yeah.
Um, West Virginia, as many schools have, established like a front office perspective and structure too. And they have, pretty much like a scouting department and a finance department, which is how it would work in corporate America, I guess, if you're recruiting players in football as well. So they've kind of emulated that and it's kind of worked. And you get into a room where they say, we like you and we think that we can do this much for you. And separate from that, they have an understanding of, all right, almost like a salary cap that you've explained many times, Chris. They can pay this much for this type of player, this much for this type of player. And in between, you negotiate and you have the conversation. Is he worth it? Is he not worth it? And you kind of go from there. But they will have Neil Brown. They will have their director of scouting and basically their GM. They'll have somebody from the NIL office in there, and they have pretty open and frank conversations, which you have to have because if you don't tuck everything in, you have situations like you had just last night.
Yeah, and for whatever it's worth, I did speak to a couple of people about that specific situation and said it hadn't even gotten to the next step. And I think that's another part of this is that there are steps to this negotiation process. And it kind of starts out with, hey, here's a ballpark figure. And that's what you discuss when they're still recruits, when they're still uncommitted, unsigned, whatever you want to say here. And then it gets more detailed, more specific once they arrive on campus. And those people at the Country Roads Trust can speak with them and talk to them and figure something out. So we'll see what happens with the Taj Rael situation. Sounds like he's going to end up somewhere else, but West Virginia has done a pretty darn good job with all of this so far this offseason.
Had to figure the next thing, Chris. Look at what happened last year. West Virginia plucks Devin Carter from Penn State. Obviously, this happens right now to West Virginia. I wonder, to borrow from your anecdote from the other day on our podcast, where they won't even like celebrate graduations because of fear of another team coming in and saying, "Oh, you're a graduate, you can transfer freely. Here's a bag." I wonder if they want to have something signed, or perhaps like a signing bonus done before they put that graphic out there, just to keep you from having to retrace your footsteps and do twice the amount of work for one player.
Fun times. Fun times indeed.